Welcome to the Stump City Bowling Show, your home for all things bowling. News, results, opinion, and much, much more from right here in New York's Capital Region bowling scene, all the way to the professionals. So lace up those shoes and let's get on with the show. Here's your host, a man that is much better at talking about bowling these days than he is on the lanes, Toby LaGrange.
Welcome, everybody, to a delayed episode number 2 of the Stump City Bowling Show with yours truly, Toby LaGrange. This week, we're going to talk about the PBA League Battle of the Brands and my thoughts on it and some of the ball companies. Then we're going to go into looking at the tournament and local league results from this past weekend here in the western part of the Capital District. And, of course, we're also going to take a look at some upcoming tournaments on a shorter than normal edition here of the Stump City Bowling Show. Some events over the past week, specifically at work and such, have not given me a whole lot of time to get this done, but I'm dedicated to get one done as close to every week as possible. Sometimes it might be every other week, even though I want to do it every week, but we'll try and shoot for every week. So I hope you enjoy. The episode's coming up next.
So on this week's episode of the Stump City Bowling Show, we're going to talk about the PBA, and more specifically, the PBA League, Battle of the Brands. So here's my thoughts on the PBA League and the Battle of the Brands. Let's go back to when the PBA League first started. I was not such a huge fan. I thought it was contrived, it was corny, it really didn't showcase bowling in the greatest of lights. You have a bunch of professionals attempting to be teammates or pretending to be teammates, just out there for show. At least that's my opinion. It got better over the years in certain circumstances, and I thought last year was pretty good. They expanded it and went through the entire season, but I do understand that the toll on the bowlers was getting a little bit too much, especially as they're trying to bowl these tournaments. It was extra frames and extra games that they didn't need to do when they're trying to win some money, which is what they're out there to do. Fast forward to this year, and now it's the Battle of the Brands. I was torn at first, and I'm still kind of torn. I've seen the rosters released here, what was it, last week or the week before. The rosters are what they are. I do like the idea of having, Team Hammer, Team Brunswick, Team Ebonite, Team Storm, etc. I just don't know how well it's going to be received. Personally, from my standpoint, I think the team format broken up by ball brands is a good thing. It gives identity to the brands that maybe has been lost over the years with the flooding of all these different kinds of balls. I mean, let's look at any bowling ball company out there. Let's look at any bowling pro shop out there and their website, and you see the hundreds of different bowling balls available. While it's a good thing to some people, to me, I think it's just too much. Let's cut that down a little bit. Of course, I'm not a salesperson, although I used to be at one point in time, and old Toby would say, well, that's good, you're selling more product, but current day Toby is more along the lines that that's just too much. If someone new is coming into the sport, they have no idea where to go or where to start with, what ball to start with, what equipment to start with. Yeah, I know your pro shop operator can help you, but not all pro shop operators are there to truly help. They just want to sell bowling balls. Again, not all, I said. There are certainly plenty who are out there to see the sport survive and to help everybody as best they can, and of course, make a living as well. But there's a fine line there when you're talking about pro shop operators. Personally, I know I've said that a lot, but this is my opinion. I just don't know how well the league's going to go down this route. Obviously, a change had to be made, so it's a good change. It's a good attempt. I just don't think it's going to work. I want to see it work. I think it'll be very cool, but I just don't think the masses care so much about branding. If you look at anybody's bowling bag or in their arsenal, it's very rare to find somebody have the same brand of ball. Even myself, I'm trying to stay true to Hammer. I like Hammer, but when I came back to bowling last year, I picked Storm, and I got to realizing I just don't want Storm. So my bowling bag has 2 Hammer balls, the Black Widow Hybrid 2.0 and the new hammer anger. That's what's in my bowling bag right now, along with the Storm IQ 78U Tour ball is in there, as well as a Storm spare ball. And I'm going to phase out the Storm and be all hammer, but not everybody's like that. You know, you can look at my league on Tuesday nights, or my son's league when you look at the older kids, and they have different balls from different brands. And it's not like Chevy versus Ford. And, you know, you got people who are hardcore on each side, or a lot of people who are hardcore on each side. And bowling, there's a lot of mixing and matching. Now, do I think it would be good for the sport if there were people hardcore on each side? And a lot of them, you had a lot of Storm people and a lot of Brunswick people or Hammer people or Ebonite people or what have you. Yeah, that would be great, but we're not there at this point where there's a lot of crossover between brands. And it's good for both ways. I mean, it's obviously good for the companies to have one, you know, for a bowler to have one of each brand in their arsenal. It's also good for the companies to have dedicated people, dedicated bowlers, dedicated consumers that are just buying their product. So we'll see where this goes. I want to see it succeed. I don't think it's going to. I think we'll be playing with the PBA League for a while here until they try and find something that they're comfortable with. But at the end of the day, I don't think PBA League is going to work. Maybe I'm wrong. Hopefully I'm wrong. I just don't see where PBA League is going to work. I think we should be taking these resources, and by we, I mean just the PBA, should be taking these resources that we're kind of putting into the league. I don't want to say wasting, but we're using on the league and beefing up some of these tournaments and getting our PBA schedule back to the way it was 25, 30, 35 years ago, where you had tournaments over almost every weekend and you had a big, long championship battle. I think what the PBA needs to do is take a page out of racing, and you basically have, say, 20, 25 tournaments in a year. Each one pays points. Highest point getter at the end of the year is your tour champion. You know, heck with the playoffs. You have, you know, highest point getters are your champions. As I said, you know, maybe you offer double points for the majors, and you offer other incentives like high average, 300 games, that type of thing. But there's ways to play with that to make it very entertaining to get everybody involved. The TV contract, well, that's not bad. You know, FS1 and Fox, plus you got Bowl TV, that's pretty good. However, I would like to see the PWBA included in these weekend tournaments as well, and or at the very least matched with the PBA 50. But that's a topic for a different day. So that's my thoughts on the PBA League Battle of the Brands. Not sure where it's going to go. Hopefully it works out, but I'm not sold on it just yet.
The flagship show of LaGrange Media Productions, The Toby LaGrange Show, brings you news, opinion, and interviews from the local motorsports scene. But that's not all. The Toby LaGrange Show brings you news and opinion from other sports, and even some from the non-sports world as well. The new season of The Toby LaGrange Show can be found on all of the LaGrange Media Productions social media platforms, including YouTube at LaGrange Media, on Facebook at facebook.com/LaGrange Media Productions, on X, or Twitter, if you will, at TJ Dirtvoice, on Instagram at TJ Dirtvoice, and new for 2025, on TikTok at LaGrange Media Productions. Make sure you tune in to the latest episode today. Welcome back, everyone. Thank you for staying with us. Let's now take a trip around the bowling world. Let's take a look around the Western Capital District's bowling scene at some of the scores as of recently. We'll start out with the Hump Day Hellers over at the Arterial Lanes. This was from January the 15th. Taking a look at the scores, Mike Dorman had the highest scratch game with a 290. Vincent Ellerby with a 277. He was second high. Chaz Moscato, 269, was third. Jeremy Marshall, 267, was fourth. And Charles Murray with a 263 was fifth. With the scratch series, Jay Hadcock Jr. was on top with a 752. Stephen Holbert, second, 686. Richard Mayo, third, 679. Chaz Moscato, fourth, with a 677. And David Herrick, fifth, with a 664. Scrolling on down through the pages of the Fulton County Regional USBC to look at some of the other results. From the Space League at the Arterial Lanes on January the 14th, my league. I wasn't there this week since I had a Glovers of Little League board meeting. Ryan Aarons was on top with a 752 series and a 258 high game. Ken Wickland was second, 734 series with a 275 high game. Amanda Borden was third, 247 high game with a 711 series. Looks like Carson Carpoy, new name for me, 278 with a 701 series, and Ken Smith, 240 with a 695 series. Moving on, we're going to go to the Independent League at the Starlight Lanes. With a 233 game and a 653 series, you're going to have Michael Pittman. He wasn't high, though. They don't have these in order. 728 series and a 257 high game for Vince Smith. He was your high. Second high with a 697 was Luke Carter with a 237 high game. Third high with a 679 was Doug Addy with a 253 high game. Fourth high was Mark something. Can't read the last name. 257 high game, 655 series. And then Michael Pittman, 233 high game, 653 series. Let's take a look at some more here. Guys and dolls from the arterial lanes on 119. Looks like Chris Shore, 247 high game. Al Coons, 223 high game. Mike Snyder was third with a 220 high game. Sean Jordan and Al Coons, each with 218 high games. Your top five. Over in the series, Chris Shore with a 662. Aaron Scribner with a 609. Al Coons with a 595. Sean Jordan with a 573. And Bill Baxter with a 570. Premier Scratch at the arterial lanes on 110. Chris Hasler with a 277 high game and a 746 high series. Craig Ambrosino, 277 game and a 746 high series. Craig Ambrosino, 286 games, 741 series. Randy Aarons, 279 and 725. Josh Persh, 267, 724. And Chuck Murray, 269 and 722. Taking a look at this past weekend's Fulton County Regional Fun Tournament. That was from Saturday. Vivid Voltage team took top honors and the $250 top prize with a 3-game set of 41-01. Team LeBon, second, 40-35 was their total. They brought home $200. JDH Future Past and Present, 39-11 was their total, and they placed third with a $175 winner's share, $175 share. Team Alaska, who finished 3, 6, 9, 10th overall, got the first random draw for $100, and the team who finished last, IPH, got the second random draw for $100. So that's a look around at some of the tournaments and some of the league results from the Western Capital District, mainly Fulton County here, and we'll be back with some more of those next week. So taking a look at some local or local-ish tournaments, the big one I want to talk about this week is up in South Glens Falls at Kingpin's Alley Family Fun Center. The Junior Adult Tournament Series sponsored by Paula Trania State Farm Insurance. It's a 4-week tournament, January 26th, February 23rd. That's at 3 p.m. and 11 a.m. respectively. March 30th at 3 p.m. and the fourth and final round is April 13th at 3 p.m. That's for the adult juniors. My son and I, we're going to take part in that, at least in the first one. We're going to try and do the entire series, but we'll see how it goes. Added prize fund payout by their sponsors, Junior Bowlers. You bowl a turkey, and you get a $5 game card for the arcade. Any 300 game or 800 series by a junior bowler, they'll automatically receive $100 into their smart accounts. It's $50 to entry per team per event, and handicap is 100% of 200. So go on Facebook and find Kingpin's Alley Family Fun Center, and you'll see their event there, and that's how you sign up. So I hope to see everybody there. It's going to be a fun time. And don't forget that here on the local level, between Arterial Lanes, Starlight Lanes, and Perry Lanes, the I'm Fine tournament continues on, brought to you by M2 Metal LLC and Northville and Gloversville Funeral Homes. So make sure you check them out here soon. Thank you very much for watching this episode of the Stump City Bowling Show. Be sure to share this episode all over social media. This has been a production of LaGrange Media Productions.